Welcome back to Sims Complete. I'm Matt Sims. He's Phil Sims. And before we get into any of the nitty gritty, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform for your number one source of online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is the ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers to hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Big Phil, how you doing, playa?
I'll be doing. I see you got the hat on today.
Yes, sir.
I don't have headphones. It's so much better this way. And I know it's early in the day, but it's never too early to partake. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not liquor, but
yeah, it's good. Sounds like, are you?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say no. It's not. People actually believe that if you say it. No, it's green tea.
Nice, good for you.
Yeah, good for me. I'm all about health.
Is it Bigelow?
Of course,
yeah. You're a Bigelow guy.
I'm definitely a Bigelow guy, and I'll say this real fast. Cindy Bigelow, I'm at a function with her at one of the plants down in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And she puts 7 teas up on a table in front of this crowd. And she teaches me how to sip to taste. And she goes, okay, do them all and tell us which one's Bigelow. And I was like, what?
Wow.
What did I guess wrong? Yeah, wow. How about some pressure?
So how'd you do?
I picked it.
Did you really?
Yes. It was amazing doing it. And all of a sudden, when I did that, Bigelow I said, this is it. Because, I had dranking. I should say drinking.
I drank.
Hey, I'm Dookie.
Yeah.
No, I had drank so much Bigelow tea that as soon as I tasted it, and of course, some of the other ones were so bad, Matt, you could there's no way it's that. They were awful.
Yeah, well, it's difficult too with the 7 different types of teas. I mean, the Pepsi challenge is Pepsi versus Coke. It's just 2 drinks. So the 7 different teas is pretty difficult.
It was pressure. Everybody talks about pressure. Pressure is so overrated. I get so sick of hearing it in football. Oh, there's pressure on this week, and yeah, you get out there and you go, a lot of pressure. I mean, as you know, sports, it's just a reactionary thing.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about, this is a big moment, then you know what? It's going to be a big moment the wrong way for you.
Yeah.
So enough about all that. Let's talk about this past weekend's game quickly, or succinct, and then talk about the championship games.
Yeah. So we got the four games that we'll quickly recap just to get Big Phil's thoughts on those, and then we'll get into Championship Sunday, which is always one of my favorite weekends. Last weekend really is my favorite. I love the divisional round, but Championship Sunday is always special in a different way. Let's start with how the weekend started, though, with the Texans and the Chiefs and that matchup. Big Phil, I feel like it's been days away now, but just overall, your impressions on the Texans-Chiefs game and what you gathered from watching it.
Okay, I'll do it real quick. Why are we trying to kick a 55-yard field goal early in the game? Why? I mean, oh my God. This is going to be a high-scoring game. We got to get 50 on the board. Let's kick in cold Kansas City where visiting kickers never kick well. It's windy as usual there. Let's go for a 55-yarder. Our kicker, he's on fire. Yeah. Man, I mean, I tell you, and you got to trust me when I say this. I never second guess. But I'm sitting there watching the game and go, what? Punt the damn ball. Get it inside the 10. Make Patrick Mahomes play to get out of that.
Right.
You're playing him, So that set me on edge right away.
I could tell.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
4th and 10 in the 4th quarter. We're going to go for it. Yeah, you're having great success on the offensive side. Punt the damn thing. Get it back in good field position. A 3 and out, and then, have a short field and see if you can drive down and tie the game up. But no, we're going to go for it on 4th and 10. Yeah, our quarterback, that's right. He's been sacked 50 times, but this time it'll be different. You know? It's just, listen, you can say whatever you want. I just thought the game was not managed in a good way by the Houston Texans. And I'll recap. The game, everybody, Mahomes came through. Yes, okay, threw it to Travis Kelce. I'll get into what Travis Kelce looked like in the next segment. But the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs was outstanding.
Yeah.
In every way. They got depth, they got speed, they got power, and damn, Matt, can they cover.
That's right.
And so, Patrick did it again. Okay, yeah, I'll give him credit. But the story for me was that defense, how really, man, they got everything. But I don't want to get it. But so that's what I took out of that game. Bad management by Houston, and the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs was outstanding.
Yeah, and would you say that it was at times struggling? Because the Texans did do some good things and move the football, and at times feel like they were in control of the game a little bit as far as being able to move the football. But would you say it was bad Texans offense or just really good Kansas City Chiefs defense in some of the situations, including just the 8 sacks for the day?
Well, yes. I mean, here, first thing is, they got a good pass rush. It's got depth.
Or bad scheme, I should say, right?
Well, bad management of the game. Let's be let's let the game, let's don't try to go out and we're going to just get on top of you and just play the game and do it like Kansas City does and other teams in the playoffs here in the final four, and just be a little conservative. Keep some more guys in the block. That was another thing. I mean, Houston, the biggest weakness of their team is protecting the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so that showed up. And C.J. Stroud, listen, give him a lot of credit in the world. He's tough as hell. But every play, you can't take it to the end. Get rid of it. Try to keep your team in good situations.
Yeah, right. And shame on the Texans, too, for really thinking that they're going to let Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon win matchups against George Karlaftis in obvious pass rush situations. I mean, that's just something that it's a theme that I think comes up. It seems like every year in the playoffs where we go back to the 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles and they lose Brock Purdy. Why? Yeah. Tight ends trying to block a defensive end. And there is no way for your team to have continued success against guys that make their money getting after the passer in that situation. And George Karlaftis absolutely dominated. When he was against the tackle, he was dominating. And then, of course, Dalton Schultz in the 2 opportunities won those matchups fairly easily. So,
Matt, what's really bad, Matt, about what you just said, and for the San Francisco 49ers, they did it against one of the leading sack rushers in the NFL that year. That's
right. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. But, okay, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, and I think that's just like the key is that the Chiefs from this game, they just don't make those kind of mistakes in big time games. They don't do some of those things like you're saying. You're right. They do a better job of managing the football game and basically playing it through. And I don't know. I think some teams almost get too anxious. Like they got to do something big. They got to create all this. And the Chiefs just kind of play the waiting game and really just capitalize on other teams trying to be over aggressive at times. But that being said, the defense is awesome. Again, like I just feel like we see the depth that they have on the defensive side of the football each and every game. And you're right. The fact that they can cover and just get after you that way, even guys like Treshaun Wharton, someone that gets like overlooked, but here he is again, like getting a sack, being disruptive. Of course, Trent McDuffie being impact, and Menahu being involved. So it's interesting. We always talk about Jones, Kelce, Mahomes, but it's the Nick Boltons of the world. It's the Chanels of the world. It's the Wharton. It's everyone else on that team that I feel like gets overlooked, but they really are what makes the machine go there in Kansas City currently.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, how it matches up against Buffalo and everything. But everything you said, of course, is right. Yeah. And you're right. Here's the other thing. They don't make the dumb mistake.
Right.
You don't have somebody hitting somebody late. I don't. It just kind of goes, and I know they do, but it just seems like if they do, it's a lot less than everybody they play against.
Yeah. So
let's leave it there, and we'll move on to them.
All right. Sounds good. So let's go now to the Washington Commanders versus the Detroit Lions. This one was absolutely phenomenal. in so many different ways. Really fun watch because it's just like, damn, we went from two teams that, it was a struggle for them to score and get in the end zone and to find their way through it too. Just damn, it was a 7-on-7 track meet in this one. But just your thoughts on Washington, how they performed in Detroit against the Lions.
A couple things. Their defensive front probably played better than I expected it to.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe the biggest surprise to me. It caused, I think, Jared Goff to throw that interception when he's trying to throw the in cut. He had to throw it probably a half a beat before he wanted to. Because if he can wait a half a beat, it's going to be a clearer shot. But he did it. He gets hit a little. The ball's high. And what happens when you throw the ball high as a quarterback in the middle of the field?
Tips and overthrows. Yep, they get intercepted.
Here they come. Got to make a tackle.
That's right.
Get really mad and really try to hit them hard.
Yeah. And that was Quan Martin with the interception, returned it for 40 yards for the touchdown. So that was a huge play in the football game.
Yeah, and the Detroit Lions never really got it going, in that rhythm, because once they start to roll, they steamroll just about every team. And they could have done that to Washington too. But Washington, I got to admit, everything they did, the pass game, run game, the defense, really well coached. And I think this is going to be interesting, who they're going to play, and we'll get into that. But overall, the scheme of the offense, Cliff Kingsbury, I watched him a lot out in Arizona. He was the head coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is, man, it looks like exactly what he was doing in college. And it might look the same or on TV as you watch, just like to the eye, but it's not the same. Pro football is really, really different. And because of the skill of the players and how smart everybody is and how smart the coaches are. But damn, he had it going. And I'll give him a lot of credit. And I'll get into Jaden Daniels next segment. But damn, they got every swing and play in the world out there, and they try to do it. And what they do, I think, is really clever and helps the team, takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback and everybody else.
Yeah, it's a great point. And that was definitely, for me personally, I was questioning Cliff Kingsbury and that hire and whether or not that would be a good thing for the Washington Commanders going forward, just because the same thing that you said, I was not overly impressed when I would watch the Arizona Cardinals and what they did offensively. But he does seem like he has evolved, has gotten better, has added more football plays to his Rolodex of plays, and has really done a great job, I think, of mixing up formations, shifts, and motions that we say is so crucial to people getting open. The different looks that he can do. The fact that now that he has Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler healthy too, the different plays with both of them on the field at the exact same time, like we've seen with the Detroit Lions and their two backs. And, of course, the quarterback, his running ability and his overall football awareness and IQ, I think allow him to do some really fun things on the offense side of football. And I really am happy, too, that they pushed the tempo offensively. Something they have done all year, but something that it seems like they really made an emphasis against the Detroit Lions. We're just going to kind of huddle or stay at the line of scrimmage. We're going to call the play out quickly. And we're actually going to be the ones that tire out the Detroit Lion fan base because they just can't scream loud enough, long enough if we stay on the field in these no huddle situations. So I thought that was a really good game plan.
Very good. Really smart.
Yeah.
Because, you're going against, keep the guys on the field. Defensive linemen, how many pass rushers do they have?
That's right.
After two, they're like, where the hell's what's going on? Well, who's coming in for me? Well, you don't have time for that. So that's interesting. That'll be a good thing to talk about as they play the Eagles the third time.
And the Commanders' big picture did what the Lions have been doing. The strength of the team for the Commanders, very similar, is the offense, is the quarterback, is their ability to move the football, especially here late in the year. And they just constantly put so much pressure on Detroit by scoring that, it helped their defense understand that, all right, they're not going to be as patient as they typically would be in the running game now. They're probably going to try to be a little bit more aggressive. And that played into their hands as the game went on for them to understand, obvious passing situations. They only sacked Jared Goff twice, but they did a good job collapsing the pocket, covering up, some of the basic plays that they run consistently. Jared Goff still had good stats, but they definitely seemed to throw off the rhythm of the Detroit Lions consistently throughout the football game, which was key. And Mike Sainristil is awesome. So the pick six was huge, of course. The interception by Sanderstill right before halftime was huge because that's a drive where they're probably going to get some sort of points out of that situation. So when Sanderstill intercepted that pass before half, it kind of had that feeling like, man, today's the day. Washington Commanders are going to beat the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, my last little thought is the Detroit Lions did not know this offense real well, the Washington Commanders.
Right.
And so when they played Minnesota, they knew that offense inside out. They were all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, a very talented group there in Minnesota. They were all over it because they had seen it before, and they didn't have that luxury going against Washington. And, man, Washington's got a lot of answers, and we'll talk about that, about what they need to do against Philly later.
And then Sanderstill gets his second interception right after halftime, and then they're able to score to make it 45-28. And from that point on, it really was just too little, too late, right, for the Lions to overcome in that situation. Okay, so that's good for that one.
Yep.
Now let's go to Los Angeles Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Enjoyed watching this game, or actually, no, I didn't enjoy watching this football.
Frustrating.
This was the game that I thought. It was like the little Giants thing. Like 9 times out of 10, the Eagles are going to win this game. But that one time, you can get them. And this was the game for me where the Rams, it was the day where they could beat the Eagles. And to put it politely, they effed it up. But Big Phil, your thoughts on the Eagles and the Rams and how this one played out?
Yeah, the Eagles did some good stuff, no doubt.
Yeah.
One, when they needed it, they made some big-time pass rushes, okay? Mm-hmm. And that guy named Jalen Carter, as I said to you, I think yesterday we were talking just a little bit about it. Yeah. And I said, Jalen Carter is the modern-day Reggie White. And so when we don't have a blitz, so we got 5 linemen, they got 4 defensive linemen, whoever doesn't have a guy one-on-one, let's go make sure you double-team Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
And that's who he is. The more you watch him, I just keep going, no, he's really the size, his movement, his speed, and just athletic ability. Gosh, Matt, it's off the charts.
Yeah, it's special.
But my other thing is Matt Stafford losing the ball in the handoff. And all year long, I watch him run that outside zone, I guess you want to say. And it seems like he's always running and just gets it there. And the ball slipped out of his hand. That was huge. That cost him points. But Matt Stafford, he was absolutely tremendous. He was he still threw a perfect spot every throw with all the snow, the bad footing, everything like that. It didn't bother him at all. Can't wait to see, to just go with the LA end of it. What's going to happen to Matthew Stafford? He deserves more money and wants more money. And he's looking around the league and everybody's just getting whopper salaries. And I don't know what he made. I don't care. And I'm not even going to look it up or talk about it too much. But will he be the quarterback real quick? Do you think he'll be the quarterback for the Rams next year?
If the Rams are serious about being Super Bowl contenders with their young roster, then yes, he has to be their quarterback. I still think Matt Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And there's really no doubting it. If you really want to make a list right now, it's Pat Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. And then from there, it's probably Stafford. And some will say, well, it's CJ Stroud or maybe it's now Jaden Daniels. No, it's Matt Stafford. He is that guy. And the fact that he's able to do the things that he's been able to do this year, right, to endure the injuries that they had, with the fact that they do have a young football team, he's a player that to me just does not get enough credit for how many good plays that he makes in the passing game, for his leadership, for his toughness, for his football IQ. And I'm not really sure why that is painted in that direction as far as a narrative, right, with saying like that he's good. But no, to me, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's awesome. And
that's not the question.
They should absolutely pay him. And I don't even care if it's, a 1 or a 2 year deal and they just kind of do like, hey, every year we'll just kind of renegotiate what we're doing. But as long as he's the quarterback, they got a chance to win. And in this game, for example, if they win and beat the Eagles, I'm like, well, why can't they win the Super Bowl? They got a great quarterback. The offensive coordinator and head coach knows what the hell he's doing. Yeah. And the defense just does enough to cause some havoc. Like, yeah, they could get it done. So Matt Stafford for sure. Need to pay him, need to take care of him, keep him.
Yeah, I know. You don't realize how good he is. Put somebody else in there and let them play, and you just go, oh, we're in trouble. But you're right. lot of good, young, big players on the team, and they will be a different team again next year. I think they'll be, of course, better. And, I love his no-look passes. I mean, I'm not saying I really think he should do it, but damn, when he does it, it seems like he always hits the receiver. So, that I think, too, when it all came down to it, some young players made mistakes that really kind of cost them the game. Right. I felt like they were going to score driving down there to win the game against Philadelphia. And then they had two really bad moments where their offensive line just wasn't connected. And I thought that cost them the game.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt his fumble was an issue there on first down because they're rolling. I mean, if there's no fumble there, I mean, who knows? Even just a gain of 1 or 2 is still a positive thing. Self-inflicted wounds in the low red zone area were definitely an issue for them, whether it was the false start, the fact that they didn't block Jalen Carter on a crucial situation there at the end of the game. Puka Nakua's drop there on third down was huge. Higbee's drop when he was wide open over the middle for – it seemed like a gain of 15. No one was even within the screen. He dropped that one. That was a huge play. Yeah. So there was a few there in the third and fourth quarter where they'll, of course, watch the film and say, damn, we really had some opportunities to win the football game, and we just didn't make those plays. And, of course, Kyron's fumble was devastating as well. So the Rams, good things going forward for them. They got a lot of good football players, a lot of young football players, and keep Stafford. For the Eagles side of it, damn, the offense and the offensive line is just special. That's really what it comes down to. Saquon Barkley, that offensive line is amazing. And you're right, the defensive depth and their ability to cover on the back end is another reason why Stafford was so impressive, because they really can match up with anybody in that regard.
Yeah, very good.
Right. So let's go to the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Big Phil, your thoughts?
Here's my thoughts. Everything is everybody, Lamar, this, all that. Okay, I'm going to put it this way. We had turnovers. That's one thing. And what I'm building to a point that I think is important that we don't hear enough about.
Yeah.
Turnover. Buffalo takes advantage of what they could. They got to lead. And, of course, when you make turnovers, you got to put it into an element. Why is it such a big deal? Because for this game, it changed maybe what the Bills were thinking. Right. They were probably thinking, let's manage the game, of course, which I think most of the time they do a really good job with that. But once they get ahead and they get a couple turnovers, now, hey, shoot, let's see if they can handle it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in playoff football. During a regular season, coming from behind, you're just playing because it's not so big.
Right.
When you lose a playoff game, it's over. And it's not that you press, but it makes you, as a Buffalo Bill, feel more relaxed. And man, we got some room to play with here. So let's be a little careful. And I thought the whole scope of the game was really that. The Bills were trying to manage the game, to push it along, eating up the play clock a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought I saw Josh Allen paying attention to that play clock a lot more than he usually does.
Yeah.
And see if the Ravens can make some plays to get back in the game, which they did, but can they get back into a point where you force the Bills to be more aggressive? So that'll be my first comment about the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's spot on too. And even though Lamar had the 2 turnovers and one of them really didn't result in any points, the Bills still punted the football back. But I think it was more so too just what people aren't taking into account. It's a little bit of just the psychological effect too, that your best player is making errant plays in the biggest game of the year. So even though one didn't really result in any points in the Bills getting off of the turnover, it still is like, damn, Lamar doesn't do these things, and he is today.
Yeah. So I think that's what caught everybody off guard. He made a couple of mistakes that he has not done all year. Here's the other thing too. 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. Derrick Henry runs the football, loses a yard. 2nd and goal from the 3. What they do there? Was that the 2nd and goal at the 3? Trying to think what they did. Lamar gets sacked. Mm-hmm. He gets sacked. Man, I mean, you're there. Most likely it's a 4-down situation for you there, and you're going to go for it. He takes the sack, which now changes everything.
Right.
So the Bills play a different defense and all that. And now the Ravens most likely are not going to be going forward on fourth. They'll really put themselves in a better position there.
Right.
So that's one scenario that caught me. The other one was when they went for 2 to tie the game. Isaiah Likely, they're doing the old tight end across, pick for him across the board. He's wide open. The guy that was covering him was knocked down or wasn't there. And Lamar, if he just lobs the ball, it's a 2-pointer, and we got a 21-21 game.
Right.
Instead, he throws it on a line, and Matt Milano knocks it down. So that was another situation where I just went, wow, you're powering up in there. From the 3-yard line, we were throwing a pass, and when we really got the more powerful run game that I didn't think overall that Buffalo was handling that well. So,
and was it really even necessary for them to go for 2 at that point in the football game? At that point, there was still it was 1:37 left
in the third quarter. Yeah.
To me, I don't even know if it's really like, why? What's the point? Kick the extra point, move on, and then just play the long game. You still have a whole quarter of football to be played. You're still you at that point, I thought you were starting to creep in and get some more momentum and take over the football game. Now, of course, Mark Andrews' fumble then changes that while you're marching down the field, just get past midfield and he fumbles the ball. But it does give you, I think, another way to play out ultimately the end of the game 2-point conversion with Mark Andrews, whether or not you go for 2 to get a 1-point lead. And then try to play great defense, which you wouldn't have done in that situation because you're not going to do that. But you would have kicked the extra point to tie the football game there at the end and probably played for overtime or to stop.
Yes. You're not going to play for the win. You're going to play for the tie. Yeah.
Right.
And I just thought of this, or I wasn't like, okay, I know why you're going for 2. But you know what? What did analytics say? The formula is not. If Buffalo scores, we don't get the 2, and Buffalo scores a touchdown. Now we're 9 points down.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So now that becomes a 2-score game. So if you kick it, no matter what Buffalo does, you're still in a 1-score game.
Yeah.
I don't think I was really thinking that way as I was watching it. I saw it, 21-19, go for 2. Mm-hmm. And then as I, of course, sit around and watch the games again a little sometimes, I go, wow, and this is the first time I've ever said this to you, Matt, or anybody. What was the analytics to it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure it said, when does it say don't do it?
That's
it seems like you watch TV. Well, analytics says 51.3. Go for it. Oh, Well, there you go. I got it.
Right.
Let's don't count into anything else, elements, the talent of the team. How are we doing? No, let's just go straight to that crap. But, that's another thing. But, so it was a really interesting game. It was kind of like this, watching it. It was like, something's going to happen to really turn this game upside down, and it's going to be crazy finish, but it really never got to, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But not to what I was expecting, just an explosion of points and big plays. So, and then go ahead. Why don't you talk about the Mark Andrews drop there to tie the game?
Yeah. What's interesting is that Christopher, my brother, your son, really made a very similar point that I made on Sirius XM following the football game. And a lot of people, of course, are kind of like, Chris, you're reaching, that kind of stuff. But just in all reality, yes, Mark Andrews should catch that football, but also Lamar Jackson should make it easier on Mark Andrews by throwing the football in rhythm on that front pack and moving forward. I really do think that overall he waited a little too long, made it probably as difficult as he could for Mark Andrews to catch the football. I know it hits him in the hands and all that, but it's low, it's behind, it's late. And I think in the rhythm of the game and how the play is designed, I bet you it didn't look that way when they practiced it throughout the week. So, when you're Lamar Jackson, I just demand more of you at the quarterback position in big time situations like that. Now, that being said, Mark Andrews fumble and that drop, 2 things that are unacceptable as well. So it goes back to kind of what you were saying with the Chiefs and the Texans. Baltimore, they did everything they needed to, essentially, right, to get the win or to get back in the football game. They just didn't make the plays when they needed to. And whoever you put the blame on, they lost the game. I thought the 2-point conversion attempt was questionable. And, of course, the execution there at the end of the game, I thought was a little questionable as well, too.
Yeah. Why I'm not thinking about the 2-point, because I try to do it as I'm thinking about it while I'm watching the game, and I don't second guess. So it didn't hit me there. As I think about it more, the deep thinking is kind of what we talked about. I'll say this about the Mark Andrews play, and I said this: Lamar waited a little longer, whatever, but he had one hand on the ball, and that one hand, it's like throwing darts. And as we know, when that hand or whatever in this position, usually when you do it, where's the ball going to go? I would say 90% of the time it's going down. It's going to go low. Right. And I thought Mark Andrews, I watched it again this morning. I didn't get a really good take on it, or I should have watched it more. I thought he was worried a little bit about falling out of bounds. I don't know if that's true or not. And I watched it and I go, man, God knows what goes through your mind real quick as the ball is coming your way. You got to fall down to protect the catch and all that stuff. So it was a tough play, but you're right. He's got to make that, 90% of the time he's going to make that catch. Well, that's
a lot.
It's amazing. Baltimore, so many great things during the year. They get their defense, back to what we think it might be.
Yeah.
And the offense is just smoking all year long, really.
Right.
And when it ends, wow, I understand the emotions and all that. These guys losing the playoff game when they're so close, and to their eventual thing is to win a Super Bowl. But it truly is. It shakes you up. They won't get over it until the weather turns warm, when they can get back outside and work a little and do that. And that's when you shake off a playoff loss or a Super Bowl loss. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely going to have a little bit of a hangover effect on them, and just kind of how they view themselves as a franchise and just the future of the franchise. And of course, as competitors, just, coming that close and obviously not coming through with the win.